Hello viewers, welcome to the YouTube channel and this is your host Sushil Shalot. It is of interest of everyone to earn money in terms of the interest over a certain principal over a period of time at a certain rate of interest. And in this video I'm going to explain you how can one create a calculator or a page wherein the values feed in will return the amount which will be returned as per the interest and interest rate. Let's get on to the actual topic and let us begin the topic interest in interest calculation. Now here there are three cells which require to be filled in. So for example, now I'm going to key in here say 10,000, the currency is the unit, say the percentage is say 10%, the value here is directly keyed in percentage and the number of years for which this investment is made, say for example say 2 years. If I click in here and I have choice here to choose the tenure, either year, half year, quarter or a month. So this is the frequency of the interest payment for this 2 years of period. Well, if I choose here, there I get at the on the screen the simple interest along with the amount for the year, that is 12,000 rupees against the investment of 10,000. It's quite simple, anyone can do it orally. So per year it is 1,000 rupees and that's why it is 12,000 rupees. It's quite simple as far as simple interest is concerned, but when it comes to compound interest, here it is, the value is displayed here and in the background Excel does the work of calculating it. It's not a very complex matter, friends. So let's get on to another variety here and say if it is say quarter. So every quarter the interest is to be paid and then it gets on compounded over the period of 2 years and then the value of the principal 10,000 gets converted into 12,184.03, whatever the currency may be rubles, dollars, rupees or dinars or anything else. That is how the interest is calculated for the quarterly interest payment mode for the tenure of 2 years at the percentage of 10% and for the investment of 10,000. If I choose monthly or month, and there it is, the amount or the compound interest on monthly basis will be 12,203.91. Friends, is it not interesting and matter of our interest to know how this can be created? Let me explain you with the demonstration here. So basically you need to know what is a simple interest, what is a compound interest. So simple interest is an interest which is paid only on the principal for whatever period or whatever tenure it is. Whereas the compound interest is the interest paid on the principal plus the interest of the first tenure. So for example, in our earlier example, what we can consider 2 years. So there the frequency of the interest payment was annual and so the compound interest was different, or the compound interest that we saw there was based on, let me show you again here, was based on the interest earned on the first year got added to the principal and then that principal's interest of the first year was paid interest upon for the next year. This is how the compound interest goes on piling up or stacking up. So here is a very simple formula wherein principal, rate and number of years or number of interest payment terms is mentioned, and if we know these three things we can calculate the amount with simple interest as the product of principal plus 1 into r into n. Well, it is quite simple, nothing different or difficult we have studied in our school days or in our academics. Well, the compound interest is calculated as p into 1 plus r, the whole thing, 1 plus r raised to n. Well, it's quite complex if you start doing it manually, and maybe in the initial stages with the simple numbers it may be very easy, but when it goes on compounding over a longer term, say for a month or a quarter or half year, it becomes much complicated. So this is the frame structure that is available now. So description, value and unit is the basics what is required. The units are mentioned here, like principal will be in currency, the percentage will be r percent, and the number again the number of years, it's only numerical. Well, so these are the three things which the person who wants to use this calculator will have to feed in. The next thing what is there is the tenure. So I have written here tenure as n, and this tenure can be year, half year, quarter, or a month. What I have done here is I have gone over here and did conditional or data validation. So I went to data validation. First of all, what I'll do here right now is I'll clear all, and now again I'll choose to create the data validation with list. So in this list, what I have done, I have chosen the tenure here, which is year, half year, quarter, and month. So once done, I said okay, and there in the drop down we saw the things what was required or what are required for the calculator to choose from. So with this backup or the homework done, now what next I did or what is to be done here is, now we need to know for a year the tenure will be the frequency of the interest calculation for the compounding will be 1, and that will be nothing else but the number of years here. So that is how it will get compounded over here. So here in this case what I have done is this value is equal to C8 into 1. So C8 is the value which will key in here and multiply by 1. So this is how a yearly tenure will be calculated. So that means if the value for the year is to be calculated, the interest payment frequency will be per year, that means once per year. Whereas when it is half year, it will be C8 into 2. When it is quarter, it will be C8 into 4. There on your screen, you are very much seeing it. There on your screen, you are very much seeing it over here. So C8 into 4. The next thing is if it is monthly. So if I go over here in this area, what I'll see here is it is C8 into 12. So once these frequencies are defined, now what next? Now what I have done here is I use the function dgate. I'll give a demo here. I'll just delete this what I had done earlier. Let me redo it for you. So I'm going to say dgate. And how is this to be used? The first thing is choosing the database. So what I'm going to choose here is the database here. Mind well, do make a point to choose the titles of this database. So once the database is done, I'm going to lock it. One can do it without locking also, but I prefer to lock the cells so that they don't get misplaced or they don't get. Next thing is the field. So what field I need to bring in here? So now what I require here is the tenure field or the number of frequency field. So I'm going to use this as n into double inverted commas. Then the next thing is it asks for the criteria. So now the criteria here is from here. So I'm going to use do make a point that the title tenure is also selected here, and this tenure matches with the tenure title in the database. This is how the dgate function works. Friends, I will request you to go to the channel and make a point to go through the video of dgate so that whatever I have done here doesn't sounds to be a very big puzzle for you. I am locking these cells and I'm going to close this parenthesis and say enter. So now what is going to happen here is whenever I choose here, it will say the n here right now is showing as 0. If I go over here and if I say 3, there it is. All the calculations right now turn up here as soon as I fill in the value in the cell C8 here. So as soon as C8 is filled, the background or the homework done here is if the tenure is year or the number of years is mentioned, then n becomes 3. If it is half yearly payment mode, then it becomes 6. And with dgate, I'm going to choose here half year. From the drop down, as soon as I put it half year, the dgate function which looks up over here in this database, it returns the value 6. If I go here and choose quarter, the value returns 12. If I go here and say month, then it comes to be 36. So if the number of year here I change to 1, the n value or the frequency of the interest payment becomes 12. So with all this background or setup done, now we are well set to go ahead and put in our formula here for the various tenures and the various interest payment modes. So what I'm going to do here is now if I'm going to say use the function if first. So with this if, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if the value which is going to be put in by the user over here is equal to the value over here. That means if E10 is equal to J11, then what? So I'm going to log this F10 first with function F4, and I will not log J11 because I intend to pull down the formula further on. So if this is equal to this, that is the tenure is equal to the tenure year, then what? Then the value, if true, is the principal multiplied by 1 plus Rn. So it's quite simple. So principal will be here in the cell C6. I'm going to choose it. I'll first lock it, function F4. The next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the parenthesis, and here what shall that be equal to? That will be 1 plus R into N. So I'm going to say 1 plus R will be in the cell over here, function F4. I'm going to lock it into what next is the N, that is number of years. Well, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in the value as this. Fine. So as and when I keep on changing the number of years, the tenure will change here by default. I'll close the parenthesis, and this is nothing else but what I have written earlier. The amount with simple interest is equal to principal multiplied by 1 plus R into N. And I'm done with it. And if that is not true, then what next? I'll have to say not valid. I'm just going to put this text in the double inverted commas because as we all know, the text is always to be put in double inverted commas and the numericals can be without those commas. So once done, I'm going to say enter. And there it is. If I say here, if I go here and choose here, there it is. I get a reference here. Why do I get a reference here? Let me check it up. What was that I have done wrong here is over here I have missed out putting the multiplication sign. So I'll put that and say enter. Once done, now I'm clear. So friends, be sure that whatever you key in the formula or the functions are correct, and the references and the arguments are very much correct. So once done, now I am well set for the amount for simple interest. Now what next I need to do is I'm going to pull it down, and when I go here, it is here. Now I'll just take up the formula here. So now what does this say is if $E $10, that is over here, if this cell is equal to J12, that is this cell, then what? Now I need to calculate the values for the principal interest, oh sorry, the compound interest. So what I'm going to do is P into 1 plus R raised to N. This is what the function or the formula for the compound interest is. $C$6 represents the principal. Now 1 plus R. Now R is nothing else but I'm going to choose the cell C7. So C7 is what I'm going to put in here. Already we have it in here in the place. And now what I'm going to do is this value raised to n. So what I have to do over here is I have to use the function raised to and n. Again, I'm going to choose the cell over here. I'm going to lock it so that it does not shift anytime. And there it is. The formula is very much true and correct now. And if this value or this cell is not valid, then it will return the value not valid. Friends, I hope the syntax and the function or the formula what I have used here are very clear to you, and you shall be doing it very well. So now what happened here is it is saying not valid. Why? Let me check it. Because the reason here is what mistake has been done. If you can point out, I'll just show you here. So here I have chosen if this is equal to J12, then it will return this value. But well, it will never be equal to J12 because this is year. So now what I have to do here is I have to shift this over here for the yearly compounding, and I say enter. I have corrected the function. Friends, I'm purposely doing these mistakes so that it comes to your notice that what care you have to take while you are creating this calculator. So now you see the compound interest is also seen as 0 because there are two inputs, those are not keyed in yet. The principal value and the interest value is not filled in here. So now if I go over here and I make it say half year, There it is returning the value not valid and not valid. Fine. So the function or the formulae are very well in place and working quite well. Now the next thing is, if it is half yearly, then what? So now what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pull this formula over here. And as expected, it's doing not valid. Now let us double click it and reset the formula. Now what it is, now if $E $10 is equal to J12, then principal into 1 plus R raised to N. Now what I have to change here is one thing. Now the rate of the interest for the half yearly will mean that the R here will be whatever value is put in the cell C7, it will be divided by 2. Quite right, isn't it? Half yearly. So it will be whatever interest rate is for the year, half of it that will be for the half year calculation. And well, with this we are all set for the function or the formula to run over here, and it is very true. Let us give a try over here and change it to half yearly and see if it works. There it is, it works very well, and as soon as I made it half yearly, the two cells which were meant for the yearly values, that is in the cells C17 and C18, have become not valid, whereas the next cell C19 is now seen as 0. Well, because the principal and interest rate has not been filled in there. Now, the same way, now what I'm going to do here is, with this syntax or with this logic very clear, now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pull the formula down in the two cells, and now next cell, that is cell C20, I'm going to check out if it is correct, and yes. So now what it says is $E $10 is equal to J13, right? Quarter is there is seen in J13, that is highlighted as soon as I'm trying to edit this function or this formula. Rather, I should call it as function, not as formula. And now again the P, that is this value, into 1 plus R. Now here, as evident, as understood, as logical, and as rightly guessed by you, this will be value 4 because it is quarter. So a year has got 4 quarters and the frequency will be 4 times per year. And with this, we are done with this function. I'm saying enter. And in the last one, now I'm going to change this one value. It's quite natural that it has to be divided by 12, C7 divided by 12. So whatever is the number of or the percentage of interest, that will be divided by 12. And done with this, I'm ready. Let me give a try over here. Let me change it to quarter and see. Yes, it works very well. And let me go over here and say month. And very true, now the formula is very much set to be used. Let us feed in some principal value and check out. So if I put the same value, say 10,000, what was the currency and percentage as 10%. There it is. I already set the value over here as percentage. The number format has been set as percentage for this cell, and so I don't have to do anything more other than keying in the value of the percentage there. Once done, now if it is monthly, for the principal of 10,000 with the interest rate of 10% for a year, and monthly interest compounding requirement, the value over here in the cell C21 is very much seen and ready for the user to know what interest or what amount will he or she get at the end of the tenure. If I go here and say 5 years, I get the answer for 5 years. Quite naturally, this becomes 60 months immediately, and the function and the formula works out very obediently for the master to find out the value. If at all the organization starts paying higher value, say 12% of the percentage rate of interest, there it is, the amount goes on changing accordingly. So if I go here and change this monthly to quarterly, mind well, the value will certainly change. So for the monthly tenure, it was 18,166.97, and here it is 18,061.1. So friends, this is how it is working very well. It's quite common sense. So the value, if we get for month value, this is the value that will be returned, because the accumulation will have more frequency. So every month whatever interest is paid will be added to the principal of that month plus the interest will be paid for the next month. That is how it gets accumulated, stacked up, or piled up. Whereas if it is quarter, then the frequency of this stacking up becomes less, and as a result, the value here for the quarterly period is lesser than the monthly period. If we go for the half yearly, it will be further less. If we go for the yearly payment, there it is. It turns out to be 17,623 if it is cumulated over the 5 years tenure. I purposely chose a longer tenure here, or a longer number of years of the savings, or the period of the saving, so that we can easily make out this value. And if it is simple interest, it will be only 16,000. This is how most of the banks or most of the money lending agencies calculate their interest, and the investors like you and me are very much interested in earning this interest. The remaining things what you saw in the first worksheet here were quite evident and quite simple. Those were the beautification and the customization that I had done. So what I had done here is this these rows or these columns I had hidden, quite sure, quite clear, and then whatever was not required was blackened up. So this is how I had blackened it up. Whatever was not required, I just selected it. I'll just spend a couple of moments for you to understand that whatever I did was nothing great and was quite simple to follow. Just chose it and convert it to black. Fantastic. And our functions and everything that was not required on the screen were very much hidden or blackened out, and that is how it worked. So customization is another part. You can do it as you like it, as per your choice. And I won't be explaining you how to customize the things, but well, the charm or the basics of this video was to explain you how to create this calculator. And there it is, the calculator is ready in front of us. So friends, I hope you have enjoyed watching this video and learning how this interest calculator was created by me. So whatever calculator you see on many websites are nothing else but this, but I'll give you a word of caution that these days with the hacking and the thefts those are happening around, it is not advisable to go on unknown or strange websites and put in these values, because those can be at times very confidential and not to be shared with others. So I recommend that you create a calculator of your own and make your own calculations and savings according to your requirements. Well friends, with this we come to the end of this video. As ever, I would like to ask you, I request you to watch the other videos at this channel by subscribing the channel. If you are new to the channel and not subscribed yet, take my word, you will not lament by subscribing it. You will always gain by subscribing the channel and watching the videos. About this video, I'm sure you must have liked it. So don't hesitate to go at the channel page and express your thumbs up or your likes. And certainly share this video with others who are not aware or may not be knowing about this video. Mind well, do not miss out the videos. This is what I like to tell you time and again. Keep watching the videos. As ever, I promise I'll come soon with my next video with another interesting topic and worthy topic. Till then, goodbye. Take care.